Hello and welcome to a new entry in the GCC Innova video blog series for new features in Sage 200 2010. So in prior blogs we've looked at sales order processing, purchase order processing, stock and bill of materials. In this particular one we're going to look at project accounting. So if we come over to Sage 200 here, I'm going to start within workspaces. As previously mentioned, there's a whole bunch of new workspaces within here, but 5 new ones are relating to project accounting. The first time project accounting has appeared in workspaces as standard. So I've just got one selected here, which is projects, which is my list of projects here. Selecting a project here then changes the project structure underneath here, and then comes down to project transactions for that particular project, and then obviously same as any other workspace, highlighting anything on this side changes the information pane over the right hand side here. So another way of moving around your projects and looking at the information on your projects. There's one hidden here called project position, which is for the new purchase order authorizers within project accounting. More on that later, but in here if you're down as a purchase authorizer on projects, your list will just be the projects where you're the authorizer, and you can see what's going on in terms of overdue invoices, both sales and purchase. Okay, so that's 5 new ones: actual cost by period, actual net profit by period, project position for purchase order authorizers, project profitability, and project. So if we come up to the main menu here, okay, there's been a few reports added in here. Previously you would have to have gone through inquiries to run your reports up, but now you can come straight into reporting, and there's ones in here for cost and profitability and revenue by group or by structure, and that's just basically how the reports look when they're run. But I'm just going to come in and run one for profitability breakdown by group here. Come to the top, just select my project to run it for. How I wish my grouping to appear in the report, I'm just going to select project item for now. Click on OK, it then runs up the new report designer, and here I have my profitability breakdown via group for that particular project, summed across with details on that project. So now the ability to run reports from the reporting module rather than just via inquiries. Just to make reports and inquiries a little clearer, there's now the ability to set sort of an indent character. So as we're looking at a project or a project report, we can show an indent code. So if we're at the top level, this wouldn't appear. If we're one level down, there'd be 1 chevron, 2 levels down, 2 chevrons. Just makes it a little clearer when looking at a particular report. Okay, so one of the changes I mentioned was the ability to authorize purchase orders. Well, we went through purchase order authorization on the purchase order blog, new features, but just to recap slightly in here, there's a new field added in with the cost and charges tab for a project as to which Sage 200 user is the purchase order authorizer for this project. So you can set that up there. So once we're set up on the individual projects, you can then come over to purchase order processing. Within your POP Utilities system setup, maintain authorization rules, we can come in here and we have one set up here for the authority for any order raised by anyone greater than £50 has to be the project manager. So basically, if we set up a purchase order and attach any purchase order line to a project, then this rule is going to kick in if that value of the line is above £50, and that order is going to go on to requires authorization, won't be able to go any further, won't be able to print the order, won't be able to do anything else with the order until the project authorizer for that particular project has actually authorized this order. So again, if you need a recap on purchase order authorizations and how the authorization process works, then have a quick look at the new features and purchase orders blog from a couple of days ago. Also mentioned in sales order processing new features was the ability to amend exchange rates at the time of printing invoices in sales order processing. Well, that also applies to project accounting on the billing side. So if we come into billing and into print invoices. Because I've got that set up in Accounting System Manager, the ability to change exchange rates at the point of invoicing, I can also do it here. I now have the exchange rates tab available, and I can come in and change exchange rates if I wish to at the point of invoicing. There's been a couple of changes with regards to filtering for entering timesheets as well, and that all revolves around the resources hierarchy. So if I come into the resources hierarchy here and come into, say, Bill Beckett here, go in and amend his resource. A couple of new things down the bottom here. Your choice as to whether you wish to enable them or not, but what we can do here, if enabled, then this area here becomes active, where I can come in and say, okay, for timesheets and expense claims, Bill Beckett can enter timesheets and expense claims for these 3 people. Previously, you could either have him set up so he couldn't enter anybody's timesheet or expenses, or you give him the ability to enter anyone's timesheet and expenses. There's no sort of middle ground where you can say, well, he can enter his teams or these few people or anything along those lines. So now we've got a middle ground here where we can filter down and cherry pick out the resources he can authorize, but also, not authorize, enter timesheets for, but also we have his timesheets and expenses can be entered by these people. So also, whilst we're in here, we can filter the projects that appear within timesheets and expense entry for Bill. So when we're entering it in, so we can manage the project filtering here. Again, the filtering will only kick in if this box is ticked here. If this box is not ticked on a resource, then they'll be able to see all the projects, or conversely all the resources over here. If we click on this particular one, so Bill's only allowed to enter timesheets for project 8 and 22. So if we just close out here and come over here and change the user, and we log in as Bill, we'll just give that a moment to process through and log in as a new user, so you can immediately see that we now have the ability to filter out, just to make it a little easier when entering in information in project accounting. So we're just waiting for the user change to filter through. There we go. So we're on project accounting, enter transactions, come into enter timesheet week mode. We come into here, so there's our filter there. We can only enter in for Bill, Mai or Rahul. But if I select Bill and come down and choose my projects, we've only got project 8 and project 22 available for Bill. So thereby making a little easier in terms of processing through, so we're not faced with a list of every single project every single time, and the filters will assist in entering information. So there we go. Those are the main changes in project accounting in Sage 200 2010.